afternoon, evening, morning, everybody, whatever time of day it is where you're watching. My name is Michael Hurd, and I'm the owner of Lineage Independent Publishing. And once again, we are launching another book. The book that we are launching today is an anthology by Bexhill Writers Group in Bexhill-on-Sea, East Sussex, United Kingdom. The book is titled Pebbles on the Beach. With me is one of the coordinating authors of the book, Patricia Donoghue, who writes under the pen name G.B. Carmichael and has her own published works as part of her own literary efforts. So we're going to spend about the next 15 minutes or so talking about the new book and the process involved to put it together. So Pat, let's talk about the Bexhill Writers Group first. Why is this group so special?
I think the reason that because it wasn't the first writers group that I joined when I first started looking to do this, and that was only in 2016. But it was the first one that I found where the people were willing to give you genuine feedback and say, I didn't quite understand that, or I couldn't catch what that meant, or I didn't really like that. And previously it had all just been, oh yeah, that's wonderful, or oh, that was dark, or that, but there was nothing really constructive in it. And I loved that about the writers group, the Bexhill Writers Group. And also the people were just so lovely and friendly and encouraging, especially too. One of the authors in the anthology, Barbara Beckett, and sadly now passed, and Beryl Doig, who is in the anthology. They had been also part of the previous writers group I'd been with and invited me to come to Bexhill Writers Group. And they encouraged me enormously and gave me confidence to carry on writing and just sticking with my style and not being pushed into doing, a middle and an ending and a beginning the way that others did. Mm-hmm. And they were welcoming of all styles. We've had people come and start with the group, and then because of COVID, they've gone out of the group and maybe not come back. But we've had different kinds of people, different writers, and there is so much talent. I mean, I was astonished. Just a few weeks ago, we were invited to a forum by the Hastings Writers Group, which is like the next town along the coast. And they were founded, or one of their founding members was Catherine Cookson, who British people will recognise more than Americans, I expect. And she wrote historical novels and was huge and lived in Sussex. They had quite a few writers in their group, but there was 9 writers groups at that forum in just 2 small towns, which was amazing, because I thought, I thought people had lost the art of doing written stuff. But since then, I've started, it's a bit like that thing when you get your heart broken, you hear all the records on the radio that's all about, oh, my broken. Now that I'm a writer, I'm now finding evidence of writers everywhere. And there is hope for all of us. And a perfect example of that is one of the writers that I found on Facebook, on Amazon, was a book by a writer called Stephen A. Mackay. And it was like a rewrite of the Robin Hood series. Mm-hmm. And from him, I ended up reading somebody else's books. And then I found another writer called Mark Dawson, who writes a sort of special ops guy who wants out. And the other night I was watching on the television a program called Between the Covers, and it's all about books being featured, books that have won literary awards and stuff. And one of the celebrities on there brought the book by Mark Dawson that I'd first started writing, and he was self-publishing. And he had been, he's got loads and loads of books on Amazon, but he's finally made it into like a really important place. His books are out there now where people will take notice because they've been on there.
Mm-hmm.
And he's not like a new writer from yesterday. He's been writing for a long time. So there's encouragement that, you know, people are out there writing. And
Mm-hmm.
Bexhill Writers Group has been going since 1978.
Mm-hmm.
And strangely, I'm not sure if it's something that we need to look at now that that was brought to my attention, but the format is exactly the same. We have a throw out, any suggestions for a title? And we pick one or two of the titles suggested, and that's what we go away and write about for the next meeting.
It sounds like it's interesting. I mean,
yeah,
I took a couple of writing classes in college. One of them was technical writing, and one of the things we had to do in that class was describe a pair of scissors.
Yeah.
So do you have to do things like that in the Bexhill group, where
No.
you're given a topic and then said go write about it?
Well, we're given a topic, yes, but it's one that we all sort of throw. Well, we don't always all throw. If somebody throws in an idea for the next topic, we'll agree or throw in another one so that we've got two options to choose from. But I must admit, I would like to see a little bit more of challenges. I actually challenged them a couple of months ago to write a story in under 500 words. And a lot struggled. But it's one of those kind of exercises that really focuses your mind onto what is the important things that need to be said, what can you just get rid of. And I was so annoyed because I got it down to 200 and whatever, and I thought, oh, this is going to be good. And Beryl beat me again. She and I used to compete at the other group about things like that, and she beat me by about 30 words. Oh, Beryl, you are so too clever. But that's the kind of thing that those exercises, and I do them myself, pick a subject and just try to write a story in like 3 sentences that really focuses your mind on getting things done. And the thing is, all of the writers in Bexhill Writers Group, they have had a life. They're not 19. So they've got lots of experiences that they can draw on. They've had loss, they've had joy, they've had excitement and things like that. Well, some, I don't know all of their excitement things, but I would assume that in the normal way of life, they've experienced all of that. And certainly the writings that we have included certainly show a broad spectrum of the things that they have used or drawn on to put these stories together. And some of them are so evocative. Alan Tipping, for example, he has spent his life doing things like, I want to say a gilly, or what do they call it?
Gamekeeper? Didn't you say gamekeeper?
Yes, a gamekeeper, yeah, a gamekeeper or a gilly, that kind of work. But when he describes some of the places and things that he in his stories, he really shrinks down the little piece of world that he's talking about, even down to sort of the leaves that are surrounding the rabbit hole type of thing. He really takes you to that place, and it's an amazing journey with him. And Brian, he has a background in technical stuff. You and he could probably have a good, reasonable conversation. But he has the knack of you're listening intently to the story and you're wondering where on earth it goes, and then he just hits one line and that's it, it's done. What? And he has this brilliant way of just doing that. And he can make the most mundane little life interesting and come alive in some of his stories. Beryl, she has an ability, along with Vicky, to write stories of everyday people, everyday events with everyday emotions in there. And it's not always genteel. Sometimes it can be funny, and other times it can be terribly poignant. I mean, Beryl published herself a book called I want to say an angel is born, but that's not what it's called. But it was born out of the fact that we had lost Barbara, and she wrote sort of almost as a testament to Barbara being her title. And that was beautiful, and all of it based a lot in true factual places and events. Edna, she can throw sort of a proper laugh into hers. She can be very comedic in her writing and has a lot of supernatural stuff going on too in hers. Well, Martin, he writes sci-fi and all sorts of different kind of genres under his pen name. Who else is there? Vicky, she's the one that runs the group. I call her the boss, but she says, no, I just host the group. I'm not sure if that's because of modesty or whether it's just abdicating the responsibility. I don't know which. But she is a lovely lady. And then there's Beryl Doig, Pat Riley. She is she's a very interesting lady, and she's traveled wide in her years, lived in Scotland for a while, and she has written some beautiful stuff. And her poem, The Pilgrimage, is just so moving and beautiful, because you can see Petra when she's sort of talking about being in Jordan and that on the pilgrimage. So let's see, who else have we got? Edna, I've said about. Alan Tippin and Brian and Martin, and then there's only me. I'm the youngster of the group.
I was going to ask that question. What's the age range of the group?
Well, Beryl will be 90 next year, and I'm the youngest, and I will be 70 next year.
Oh, wow. I thought Martin was younger than you, but I guess I was wrong.
Oh, maybe he is. I forgot.
Because isn't he like 67 or 68?
Well, then he's the youngest in the group. I'm the baby girl. They all.
Okay. Still, it's people that, like you said, have lots of life experiences to bring to the table.
Yeah, I wouldn't like to add up the age groups to find out how many years of experience there is in there.
But still, quite a bit. And one of the things that I got to contribute to the book, besides editing, was the foreword. And in that foreword, I talked about how enjoyable it was for me to sit there and read the differences in the writing, and some of the stories drew me into them, to the point that I forgot I was supposed to be editing the story, and not just reading it for fun. That's there were a couple of them that were like that, and it was. I had to step back and say, okay, I got to put this down for a few minutes and go do something else and come back to it later and say, okay, I'm an editor now, not a reader. I'm an editor. But
they'll be very glad to hear that, because obviously that's important to them, that somebody completely outside of the group has read their stuff and has been drawn in, which is, the greatest compliment any author can have, is that somebody that has no connection to them actually goes, I enjoyed that.
Okay. So now you mentioned when we were talking before we started the recording that the royalty proceeds from the book are going to a charity.
Yes.
I seem to recall you saying that the charity is as yet to be determined for certain.
For certain, yes. And I don't want to misspeak and name it and find out that I've misremembered. Because I have been to sleep since those conversations.
So, but so anyway, I promised the viewers that we'd try to keep this to 15 to 20 minutes, and we've just passed the 15-minute mark on my countdown timer. Okay. So, is there anything else you want to add to our discussion?
I think that on behalf of the whole group, I'd like to say a huge thank you to you, because I know that this year the calaboose kind of hit a sort of push on to all of your work that you had to get published. And it was really hard work for you to keep to the deadline that we had asked for last winter, if we would be able to get a book published with you out for Christmas. Mm-hmm. And for that, I know that the whole group would be telling me to say thank you very much.
Well, it's been my pleasure. With the anthology, Pebbles on the Beach. We also just released 2 other books in the past 6 weeks. Lisa Talbot's The Lady of North Lodge. We released that on her mother's 93rd birthday.
Yeah.
On November 3rd, and then right about the same time, we released a book by R.C. Bruce, Rebecca Conity Bruce, yeah. Called Cranberry Wine. And of course, Rebecca sadly lost her daughter almost on the same day that the book was being released. So, that was a very bittersweet moment for that release. And she has not said anything much about the book other than what I've done, on the Lineage Independent Publishing pages. So, our sympathies certainly go out to Rebecca and her family.
Absolutely.
Very difficult time.
I'm quite sure that the last thing on her mind was the fact that she had a book published that day.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure it was too. But so anyway, and then of course, my own the 10th book in my Lineage series. Finally, now that I've got the anthology off and into publication, I can now go back to focusing on my writing.
And good too, because I mean, when you think about it, this year you have published Martin's book.
Right.
I think before that you published one of Lisa's.
Yes, and one of mine.
And one of yours, then Martin's, then mine. Mine We'll Meet Again.
Right.
Now, then Lisa's North Lodge, Lady of North Lodge, and Rebecca's Cranberry Wine.
Yeah, Cranberry Wine.
Yeah. Sorry, my brain just shut down on it. And then now you've done the anthology. So how many is that this year?
You would have to ask me to count. 6. Because mine, Martin's, Lisa's, the anthology,
mine,
Rebecca's, and yours. So it is.
And Lisa's other one, and now this one. That's 7.
Okay. Anyway, the entire Lineage Independent Publishing line is now up to, I think, 27 books, 27 or 28, including Tales Beyond the Fey Veil, which is an Amazon exclusive hardback.
And that's mine.
Yes, that's yours too. So. Anyway, let's go ahead and wrap this up. Okay. I think we've hit a good spot here, and we'll go ahead and end the recording. My name is Michael Hurd. I'm the owner of Lineage Independent Publishing, and so we've been talking about the release of Pebbles on the Beach, an anthology by Bexhill Writers Group. So hopefully everyone will avail themselves of the opportunity to find it in either print or electronic format. We do have a global market for the book on Amazon. For U.S. people, it's cheaper on Amazon than it is anywhere else in print, just because of the cost of printing. So, look for it there. But otherwise, the electronic digital copies of it are available globally, as is print. So, with that, I'd like to say goodbye to everyone and thank you for watching.
And can I say goodbye? And sorry, guys, it was a last minute thing. I didn't know we were going to do this until earlier. Thank you very much, Mike.